Hi, I'm Cyndi Targosz, and I'd like to share my Cyndi secrets. Shh. Now it's time for our Cyndi chat. And today's guest, my goodness, we fell in love with him when he burst on the scene, being a regular on the Jeffersons, and that love affair is still strong today. He keeps working, he's multi-talented, he's a great guy. Ernest Harden Jr. Ernest, hi.
How are you, Cyndi?
Oh, it's so good to see you. And you're so busy to take time and chat with us. I really appreciate it.
It's my pleasure. I wouldn't miss this for the world, just to get a chance to talk to you in person.
I know.
I haven't seen you in a while.
So many red carpets and that. You're always everywhere. You're everybody's favorite.
Well,
and I know we're going to dish about everything that's going on now. But before we do, we can't have an interview without at least talking a little bit about the Jeffersons.
Sure.
I mean, I assume that was your, really put you out there. Tell us a little bit about what that was like. And for those who don't know, a little bit about the show.
Sure. The character I played on the Jeffersons was Marcus Henderson. And he was sort of George Jefferson's protege, played by Sherman Hemsley, George Jefferson, and Isabel Sanford. They were the main stars. And what actually happened was they had a son called Lionel on the show, and they kind of let him go, or he had some problem with Norman Lear, who was the Jeffersons was under that blanket of shows. Mm-hmm. And so they brought in another Lionel, and then he had to kind of fight against the character that the first Lionel created, so it kind of made it rough for him. It's hard for an actor to follow an actor after he had already established that particular character. People kind of fall in love with that guy. So what happened? They let him go, and they brought me in, the character Marcus, and they decided not to make it Lionel. They decided to just let him be a totally different character, but still kind of young at the time, and young character. And he just turned into be a friend. They were going to eventually adopt me into the family, but that never happened. But I did the show for 4 seasons.
Now, when you first started, though, isn't it true that you were supposed to just do 1 episode, or?
Oh, now, okay, you know about that.
Yeah, and I think that's a little bit of trivia. Tell everybody about how this happened.
The character that I first played on the show was a guy named Jason King.
So it wasn't Marcus at all, right?
It wasn't Marcus at all, and it was so funny because they called my agent and said that after I did that one show, they called my agent and said, yeah, we think we want to give him a series. And so I said, oh, great. I went over there, and they said, well, he'll have his screen test pretty much on the air. So I said, fine. So Jeffersons was a very hot show back then. Unlike today with all the cable and everything, it was, if you were on one of those shows, you were really hot.
Oh, well, you're still really hot. You're constantly working. Tell us about some of your other movie roles, too. I mean, you've also done film and...
Yes, one movie, it was actually a TV movie that I starred in with Miss Bette Davis. I was really blessed to have her as my leading lady.
And the name of it, don't be shy.
No, the name of it was White Mama. Bette Davis picked that title, even though the book was called, I think, A House Without a Home. But Bette Davis fought for that title. She was just that type of person. She wanted people to know that here she was starring opposite this black guy, which, I loved her. We stayed friends until she died, and she was really. I just learned a lot so much from her. And Jackie Cooper, also, he's gone too, but he directed it, and he's a legend as well.
What an experience! You've had such an interesting life.
It was fantastic, and it kept going from there. Things just kept going.
And now, of course, you're in this hit play. Tell us. I mean, you've been getting rave reviews. Tell us a little bit about Beethovens Misfortunes cookies, right?
It was a project that was brought to me originally, and it was written by Joni Ravina and T.J. Castanovo. T.J. Castanova directed it. And what I did is they gave me the script, and I really liked it. And I liked it so much, I started working on it myself, and I collaborated with the writer. She was really gracious and let me make it my own. And that's exactly what happened. It was kind of a labor of love. And then we tested it in the market in Newport Beach, at the Newport Beach Theater Festival, and it was a hit. People just stood up for about 10 minutes.
And this is a one-man show,
It was a one-man
correct?
show,
That's a long time to be on stage alone.
Well, yes. And this was actually my first one-man show. I mean, I've had leads, but not just me.
That's got to be exhausting.
It is an exhausting play. I go straight to bed afterwards every night.
Oh,
but
I can
it turned
imagine.
out to be such a hot show that we tried it at different markets out there in L.A., and then we finally got a run at the theater called the Met Theater in Los Angeles, and got reviewed, and reviews
Well, you got
were stellar.
fabulous reviews.
Yeah.
You know and that's really good to. You should be so proud, and it must be challenging. Tell us a little bit about the character too.
Well, it's about a professor at the University of Arkansas who had sort of a radical teaching style.
It's a true story, huh?
It's a true story, yes. He taught at the University of Arkansas for 11 years. He was a music history professor, and he had a radical teaching style. It was he used profanity in the classroom at times with his students, and he showed a graphic photo in connection to one of the people he was teaching about, which was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back in his case, and they fired him soon after that. But the students loved him. They loved his style, and they really could relate to him. And so it goes in and talks about his days and years teaching, but after he's fired, it talks about that too. And he had some problems with his parents. His father died at a young age, and how that affected him. It's a lot to it.
Yeah, you really had to do some preparation, I'm sure, as an actor, to get into that role.
Yes, he had a bout with paranoid schizophrenia, so I had to kind of research that and try to see if I could portray that on stage, which so far it's been pretty good. And so we really feel like we want to go places with this play. We feel it's something that all people can relate to. This professor, and the professor is a star. It makes normally you have like some guy that's a superhero. He was an ex-football player or something like that, but here's a scholar is a star. And
that's so exciting.
So
now,
that
do you
might inspire young kids to say, hey, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a scholar as well,
And to show the pros and cons of life and the ups and downs.
Right.
Any plans then? You do want to take this further? I mean, I know the audience are loving it all over L.A. and Detroit and everywhere. So what's next?
We just finished Michigan State University, and they just stood up, standing ovation. They wouldn't stop. And so they really loved it. It was a 600-seat theater. Last night we just did it in Detroit at this hall, this church-sponsored Greater New Mount Moriah Baptist Church, and but they were gracious enough to have me in, and it was about 500 people there.
Oh, I think the pleasure was theirs to have you. Come on,
They loved it.
You're so humble. It's amazing.
Well, I just want to say that now. We got some people looking at it that they want to take it to New York, and they feel once we get reviewed there by perhaps the Times, then we can write our tickets. So we're just hoping.
I feel really good things about this project. And, talking about playing it in Detroit, we're here in Detroit. We're both Detroiters. Tell us a little bit about your beginnings and a little bit about Ernest and the early days.
I will never forget Detroit. Detroit is my roots. They are my roots, and I just feel every time I come back home, it's sort of like being recharged, and it's great it was just a blessing. Tears came to my eyes, especially when I to have an opportunity to come and do a show and perform in front of the people that knew me when. I went to a high school called Pershing High School.
Oh, okay.
Yep, and a lot of athletes came from that school, like Spencer Haywood and Ralph Simpson and Steve Smith. A lot of great athletes. And
a pretty good actor,
and
too.
a good actor, you know.
A great actor.
If you say so.
I do say so, as well as a lot of other people, too.
I appreciate that. Before, when people tell you to, they say, oh, you're great, or you're this or that, and they give you these accolades, you kind of feel like, oh, you're embarrassed to say, but I receive it. If you say so.
Hey, and I'm another Detroiter, and don't we tell it like it is?
Oh, here we go.
That's true. That's one thing. In fact, nowadays, Detroit's in the news a lot, and it's not always necessarily good. What are your feelings, coming back and forth about the state of the city today?
Well, my friends,
I won't tell anyone.
No, my friends, of course, Detroit is going through some changes that when I was young, the city was so vibrant, and everything was alive. It just felt, I love growing up here. And yes, it's gone through some changes. I feel that it's going to come back, though. I think things are going to come back. My friends that I'm staying with here, they've taken me to places and restaurants that are so beautiful. The theater, the people who, I'm so excited I'm losing my voice.
Oh, no, that's okay.
No, it's the people and the people who came to the play. The theater, the tickets were $35 a piece, and yet that place was packed. So if Detroit is supposed to be so broke, somebody has money. And so we're saying that I really feel, I'm very hopeful that Detroit will rebound and Detroit will be vibrant again. And I really see signs of it, and hopefully it'll happen in my lifetime.
Oh, well stated. I love this city too, and it's like, I agree with you. I get so tired of the negativity when there's far more positive and good about the city,
Oh, yeah. And people, and all they do is show the negativity. They show an abandoned house, which that's all over the country.
That's true.
People going through so many changes, but I just really feel that this city is a special city, and I know it will be back, and and the people here are just beautiful.
You're gonna make me cry because I love it too. There's a grittiness and honesty,
Very much so.
We tell it like it is, right?
Yep.
So let's also talk, in terms of that inspiring. I mean, there's a lot of young people that are my Cyndi Secrets followers who are just going to be thrilled to see this interview.
Okay.
Might you give them some kind of, maybe they're struggling in a neighborhood in LA and Detroit, hoping to get out there and be their personal best. Might you give them some inspiration and advice?
I came from a rough neighborhood, actually, and so I had to struggle. But fortunately, I had some pretty good parents who were educated. They were educated from the South. My mother went to Spelman, and my father went to Morehouse College. But they came here to Detroit, and they were young and struggling. They bought a house, but the area went down and it sort of became a ghetto. But their values and the discipline to continue to try to make something out of myself, they instilled in me and my sister, who is a PhD now. She teaches at she's the head of music at Cass Tech.
Oh, wow, that's wonderful.
So she's been there for a while, and she took music all the way. We both did piano, but she continued and graduated. And
you must
got her
be
PhD
very
in
proud.
Northwestern. Yeah, she's a real star of the family. Actually.
Oh, again, so humble. Well, so then I guess I have to say then, people who see you at this point in life, a huge success, and you just seem like everything's on top of the world. For those struggling, life's not always like that, is it? I mean, do you have downs too, possibly?
Well, what I wanted to say was I just stayed focused, and I was blessed to learn early on what I wanted to do in life. And yes, even after I became professional and started to work professionally, I had down times where I wondered if I'd ever see the front of a camera again, or would anybody ever hire me. But, you know, now that I've been in it, I realize that I have a belief in God, and
Praise the
it's
Lord.
strong. And honestly, I believe if you stay focused and just believe in what He tells you, that it will be okay.
Even if things are going bad.
That's only just, it's almost like watching a movie and then moving on. It's almost like when you're dreaming, for example, you're having a nightmare, and then all of a sudden you wake up, you say, oh, okay, that was just a dream. You walk on, you move on, and go to the next thing.
Keep going forward.
And that's what I feel life is the same way. I mean, it's like dreams. You say, oh, well, I'm having a bad day. Then that's over, and you've forgotten about it, and you move on. Oh, I didn't get that job, but then here comes the next one, or something like that. Yeah,
Great
honestly,
advice.
and that's really
People
how you
need to
keep
hear
going.
that, because everybody thinks that, you know, you're the success and that it's always easy. But even, I like what you said, that even at a successful level, even after the Jeffersons, there were probably moments
A lot of
where,
problems.
you know,
After the Jeffersons, I had money for a while, and then finally there was no more, and you had to continue to get work, but it always seemed to come, and I always just stayed focused and throughout life. And I just think that tell any young person to just stay strong, stand fast in what you believe, and if you believe it, it will materialize.
and you know what? Not just young people. I think people of all ages need to be reminded of your advice.
Right, exactly.
So, well, on a lighter scale, this is Cyndi Secrets. Let's dish a little bit. Is there something about you, Ernest, that may be a hobby, something fun that maybe your fans don't know?
Oh gosh, I don't know.
What do you like to do for fun, kind of thing? Or
Well, I honestly just I'm a sports nut.
well, that's true. I did have to drag you away from the football game.
Yeah, I like the Detroit teams and everything, but
Any bad habits?
bad habits.
Just between you and me?
I played a lot of basketball, actually. I love basketball. Yeah, and matter of fact, I played.
He skipped the bad habit part.
Bad habit.
That's
I
okay.
got plenty of bad habits. It'd be another show if I told you about all my bad habits,
Oh,
No, I don't
I'm
know.
just having fun with you.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Sometimes, I don't know. Maybe I snore. I don't know.
That's
kind
funny.
of a bad habit.
I hope not during the
But I
interview.
don't, right. But, I'm asleep, so I don't realize it,
Oh.
But other than that, I'm just a regular, simple guy, because I feel you don't have to put on airs. You don't have to do anything.
Nope, you
Once
just
I
be
get
you.
on stage,
You just be
I
you, and we
feel
love you.
that
I
I'm
understand
one of
you.
the best.
The reviewers, that, hey, you can sweat on command, right?
Oh, you read that review.
Yeah.
Actually, it was hot in that theater. She thought it was a command, but it was just so hot it was happening. But it happened
We're
at the
just
right
having fun.
time. Yep. Oh,
That's great. Well, I'm so glad you took this time to have this interview. Before we end, anything you'd like to share with your fans about upcoming projects, or any little last minute?
Well, I have a movie coming out called The Bronx Bull, starring, I have one of the leads, and William Forsythe
Oh, wow.
is the star. It's a sequel to The Raging Bull, which was I think that movie won an Oscar.
That was fabulous. So this Raging Bull too?
This is actually Raging Bull 2. That was the working title of the
That's
of
so
the movie.
exciting.
But the thing is, Jake LaMotta, who the movie was about, wanted to. He sold his rights, I guess, to the first group who did the Raging Bull. So they had to go to court because they didn't want this movie out. But he wanted it out because it tells the story not about his boxing career, but after and.
Oh,
the
that's
things he had to go-
interesting.
Yeah, it's
That's really
interesting.
good stuff.
So I love the story, and I think it's going to be another hit. So we're waiting for that to come out.
Well, you're a hit in my book, and legions of fans love you. I really sincerely am just thrilled that we had this time. I wish you so much luck, and you keep us posted, okay?
I will keep you posted because I love you too. Thank you so much. You're great.
You are too.
My name is Ernest Harden Jr., and I love my Cyndi secrets.